Hi everyone, Matt here, and welcome back to TS Moto Adventures. Winter is here, and for most of us, particularly in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions, that means colder weather and even snow. Most of you will probably start packing in your bikes for the winter, waiting for that one unusually warm day so you can go back out and experience that seemingly distant joy of riding. But just because you slow down with riding during the winter, doesn't mean you can't start planning for future adventures for when the spring rolls around again. Hopefully, this video will help inspire you to plan a new trip. Back in the beginning of October, I loaded my DRZ up in the back of my truck and drove up to Connecticut. There I met up with two of my friends, Riley and Caliper, so we could ride the Trans Mass Trail together. This was a super spontaneous trip. We had talked about it maybe a week or two beforehand and decided to just go out and do it. Honestly, these are my most favorite adventures of all. Just getting out and doing it is such an amazing feeling, and for me at least, typically leads to some amazing memories. There's a little bit of a caveat with that though. I'm not saying you should just spontaneously hop on your bike and ride across the country. You want to put some planning into a big trip like that, but getting out there for a day or two and just enjoying yourself is something you can generally do without much preparation. The Trans Mass Trail is a beautiful route from the Northern Connecticut border up through Massachusetts to the Southern Vermont border. There's a few different variations of the route floating around from what I found, but they're all mostly the same, with some detours and alternate roads. I snagged the version I rode from the New England Riders website. You can check out the link in the description below for that GPX file. The Trans Mass Trail is a really great route for a nice, easy-going day trip. The terrain isn't very difficult, and it's definitely suited for riders of all skill levels, including beginners. There's some more complex sections, but nothing that made me think a beginner should turn around. Putting it through the Everride flow test, I'd give the Trans Mass Trail a ranking of 2, something almost all riders should be able to complete without too much worry. You can learn about the flow test criteria by watching Everride's video linked in the card in the top right. The Trans Mass Trail features a variety of gravel roads, pavement, and even a short section that reminded me more of an ATV trail. Overall, the route was super fun, provided some excellent riding, and beautiful New England views, especially since we rode it in October. Now, for those of you that have never been to New England in the fall, the leaves changing colors and falling off the trees lead to some truly stellar views. It's just absolutely beautiful all around, and riding through areas with views like that, it's such an amazing experience. From start to finish, the ride took us about 5 hours with stops. It's a great length for a ride like this, long enough to fill a day, but short enough to enjoy it all along the way. You'll spend anywhere from 85 to 100 miles riding, depending on which version of the route you take, and you'll love every single mile of it. I know I did. Easygoing adventure rides like this are great and make you think about how much you enjoy the sport, but definitely leave you craving more. Then again, I don't think I've ever finished any ride where I didn't crave more afterwards anyway. We finished up the ride around 5 p.m. and we had hoped to be able to take the Transmass Trail back to Connecticut, but our day ended up starting later than expected, and by the time we finished, it started to get dark. Because two of us were on dual sports, Caliper was on a CRF 250L, and obviously I was on my DRZ, we decided to take back roads on our ride back home instead of the highway. It's no fun taking dual sports on the highway. Overall, I'd say the Transmass Trail was a super fun and memorable ride though. It was even more fun doing it with two good friends. Having friends to ride stuff like this with makes everything even more interesting and enjoyable. If you have friends that ride too, drag them along with you. It's totally worth it. If you're thinking about planning a ride in the New England area in the spring, summer, or especially the fall, I definitely recommend the Transmass Trail. Now I've got a question to pose for all of you. What's one ride that you would recommend to someone who is looking for an interesting adventure to try? As someone who's always seeking more interesting adventures, I'd love to hear what cool places you think I and your fellow riders should check out. Until next time, stay warm, ride safe, and remember, it's all about the adventure.